This video is aimed at users with a solid understanding of CSS and in particular CSS selectors, and it discusses a very nice technique that was submitted to us by an Alpha Anywhere user. So you can see that we have in the mobile simulator here a very simple mobile application with a panel navigator and then some panel cards inside the panel navigator. And then what this user has done is created buttons that display a floating overlay with options in them. And you can see that the overlay basically remains on the screen regardless of which panel is active. But when the overlay is displayed, and inside the overlay what we have here, this is actually an accordion control. So it's an accordion control with only a single pane. And inside the accordion pane, this list of options here is actually a button list. But the button list is displayed with the default padding around it. So the user wanted to remove all of the padding. So what we're going to show in the video is how you can use very simple CSS classes to solve this problem. So you can see that for this particular menu over here, we've applied the technique, and now this drop-down menu here, which is actually inside the accordion, is not displaying either the border around it, the border around the pane, and is also not displaying any padding. So let's go back now and take a look at how this was set up. So first I'm going to go back to design mode, and you can see here what we have is our panel navigator with panel card 1, panel card 2, and panel card 3 over there. And then inside the panel navigator we have the header, and then we have one overlay and then another overlay. So these overlays are containers that are displayed in a fixed position regardless of whatever panel card has focus. So the first overlay is displayed with a offset of 0 pixels left and top, and the second overlay is displayed with an offset of 72 pixels. So next what I'd like to do is actually go into Firefox over here and examine the HTML in Firebug so we can actually see what's going on. So you can see that if I put my mouse over here, I can see that what I have now is a div, and it has a class on it of no padding. So this is the class that you'll see later on we've assigned to the tab pane. And then what you can see next is that by looking at this div over here, this is the actual div that contains the button list. So all of the container classes in Alpha Anywhere that contain controls are wrapped in a div that has a class name of A5CW layout. So you'll see that every single control in a component is wrapped in a class called A5CW layout, and by default the padding on this class is 4 pixels, and this is a property that you can set globally in the UX Builder. But what we want to do is, in the particular case where this A5CW layout class is inside another class called no padding, then we want to set the padding to 0. So we do not want to set the padding on A5CW layout to 0 globally, because that will mess up the styling of the rest of the component. We only want to selectively do that in the case where we're inside the a container that has a class of no padding. So let's go back now to the builder. And we can see now that if we go to properties over here and look at local CSS definitions, that we've defined a class called no padding, and we've added a subselector over here of the A5CW layout class name, and then we've defined padding of 4 pixels on the top and 0 pixels all around. So let's pause now and pick this up in the next video. So we're continuing our video now on advanced CSS for the UX component. So we've defined now our new CSS selectors. So basically what this means here is that we're defining the class definition for A5CW layout for the situation where this particular class is inside another container that has this class of no padding. So now let's go back to controls and take a look at the tab control that is displaying correctly for us, which is the first one over here, and look how that was set up. So we'll go now to look at the tab pane. So you can see here what we have is the overlay, then we have a tab control that's displayed as an accordion, and then inside this accordion we have a button list, and here are the buttons that are displayed in the button list over here. But if we go to the tab pane here, we can see that we've set the class name to the CSS selector that we've defined called no padding, but we've also put a leading minus sign in front of the class name. And if you look at the little help over here, you can see that we describe what the purpose of the minus sign is. If you don't put the minus sign in, then this class name that you define over here will be applied in addition to the system class name for a tab pane. But we want to actually completely remove the system class name for a tab pane and just use our own class name. So that's why we have the leading minus sign over there. So let's go back again and look at it now. So here's the default behavior, and then here's the behavior where we've modified the CSS class for the accordion pane, specified the .no tabbing class name, and turned off the padding on this pane content over here. So this technique here shows how using CSS you have very, very fine control over the way the controls in a UX component will be rendered. Thank you very much for watching.